If you could change anything about undergraduate nursing school, what would it be? Great question. This is another great question from the tribe asking about undergraduate nursing school programs. Is there anything that I would change? Is there anything that I wasn't happy with, or that do I have any suggestions on how I could improve it? So, my first admission is that I have not been in an undergraduate program in greater than a decade, and I didn't follow the normal path. I was a second degree nurse. I was also a adult learner. So first of all, I didn't take the traditional route. I didn't go to nursing school right out of high school. When I entered the nursing profession, I entered it as a diploma program. So it was an 18-month diploma program. So I didn't get my bachelor's. I didn't go back and get my bachelor's until 5 years after that. So I have a different perspective. Needless to say, I have two things that I think about immediately, and I always answer these questions with, what's my first response? Boom, that's my answer. It's about as genuine as it gets, tribe. So my first response, one of two answers is this. My first answer, I think, is more clinical time. And I don't know how much clinical time bachelor programs require. It's my assumption and guess that they spend most of their clinical times during the latter half, so maybe in the last 2 to 3 semesters. Because it is a bachelor's program, so you have to attain a bachelor's of science, so you're going to have to take a whole bunch of other classes, didactic learning, in classroom, whatever, online. You're going to have to take more learning outside of the nursing unit. So I came from a diploma program. We spent 3/4 of our time in the hospital or somewhere on some facility working with nurses. And I believe that that is invaluable. You know that my mantra is what they didn't teach you in nursing school. I think everything that's being taught is important, valued, but ultimately experience trumps everything. So the more time you can spend with an RN at the bedside, in the clinic, on a nursing unit, anytime that you can do a job shadow with a nurse and perform and or share skills with them, that's way more beneficial. I mean, the reality is that nursing school prepares you to take an exam. That's it. You learn how to do the job once you get out there and practice. So it's a biased answer, but I feel that we could spend more time, we could put our students at the bedside more. And number two, the second thing that I think about, and this came later down in my career, and I didn't appreciate it until it was almost too late, and I struggled a bit, but I think that there should be more emphasis on evidence-based practice, on evidence-based medicine, evidence-based nursing. Becoming more familiar and comfortable with reviewing and understanding evidence. And that has a little bit to do with statistics, being able to evaluate an article, a journal article, a peer-reviewed journal article, to be able to assess it and critique it, and to pull out the important information and to understand its strengths and weaknesses. I didn't understand that. I didn't appreciate that until I was practicing for a number of years. that everything we do is driven by the evidence. Or it should be. Hopefully, should be. We don't do something simply because that's the way we've always done it. We don't do something simply because it worked for Susie down the hall or Karen says that it works. We do things, we perform interventions, we follow protocols because of what the evidence has shown us. You have to think about it in terms of empirical data. What does the data tell us about this new antibiotic or this new intervention? You know, way back in the day when, you know, before we collated evidence and the data appropriately, nursing intervention thought that it was appropriate that when you got rib fractures that you wrapped your chest wall to reduce pain. That if you broke some ribs in your rib cage and your chest cavity here, that wrapping them was the most beneficial thing to do. And I'm hoping that every nurse out there knows that how horribly wrong that was, but we learned that the hard way, that the evidence showed us, empirical data and experience showed us that wrapping your chest from a rib fracture is the absolute worst thing possible. Because it diminishes vital capacity of your lungs. You have to keep these small alveoli in your lung inflated. So deep breathing and coughing, pulmonary hygiene or pulmonary toileting, whatever you want to call it, is the most beneficial thing incongruent with pain management. Helping to alleviate the pain. You can't relieve the pain, but alleviate the pain. And to continue to do pulmonary hygiene so that you could prevent someone from getting pneumonia, because the pneumonia is what kills you, not the rib fracture. So the evidence, understanding evidence and applying it to your practice, I think is essential. And we're missing the boat on that particular topic. I think that undergraduate nursing programs need to spend just a little bit more time making students more comfortable with utilizing and talking about the evidence.